this is the Sunday school lesson for this coming Sunday, June 30th at 10 o'clock in the morning. So this video will cover the pre-K and the elementary youth combined class. They are both reading the Call of Samuel from 1 Samuel chapters 1 through 3. So the copy of the page from the Shine Bible is right here. So this is page 82, 83. And so these Bibles will be in the elementary class, and this sheet will be in the pre-K class so they can read the story. And the story is about the boy, Samuel, being called by God. He's living with Eli, who's a priest, as a young kid, and his mother has dedicated his life to God because he was a gift from God. And he hears his name being called over and over again, and he realizes that it's God. And the priest Eli tells him, yeah, that's probably God talking to you. So that might be an interesting concept, right, for kids. We typically talk about not, hearing directly the voice of God, but that's not how we experience him. And it might be a good conversation to have at the elementary youth level about, this is an interesting story, and what can we take away from it in terms of how do we experience and hear from God? When do we feel like that we are being called, or we need to pay attention to something that's happening and do something about it, right? So the main activity for this, which I think will work for all three groups because it's just a really creative thing, is about creating a luminary bag. And well, the story itself does not mention the light, but there's a lot of light activities in here. You can see the light here in the picture. And in the actual, if you read from the Bible, and this is in chapter 3, and you could, in the youth room with the elementary class, you could have the youth read Samuel chapter 3 to them, because it says, the boy Samuel was ministering to the Lord under Eli. The word of the Lord was rare in those days. Visions were not widespread, which is the same thing you could say for today, probably. And at that time, Eli, whose eyesight had begun to grow dim so that he could not see, was lying down in his room. The lamp of God had not yet gone out. And that phrase is apparently what has generated a lot of these light activities. And whether that means he was lying down and it was still there was still some sun out, maybe it was dusk, or he had a lamp in his room that was still on, or something like that. It takes that analogy of God bringing light to our lives, to the just another way of talking about that. The light is always kind of an important analogy for God. Before you get to that actual creating the luminary, there's a couple of pages. For the pre-K group, I have 4 copies of this. It's called the prayer page, and it would be nice to go through it. And then this is about listening, and of course this story is about listening to God's call, but it said the leader would say, God, so all the kids say, I am listening, right? They respond with, I am listening. There's a question, and then I am listening. And so it's meant to be a way to generate some ideas and some thoughts around how to listen for something, how to ask a question or formulate a question that you need an answer to. And then there's a little fill in the blank at the bottom where they put in one of these, ears, eyes, hands, mouth. Pretty simple, and they might still need help writing it down because they're the youngins. So they do have that activity sheet. So the actual craft, let me see what page this is on here for you, is on page 34 of the lesson that I'll send you under Create up here. Okay. So it said, God called Samuel in the evening before the lamp of God had gone out. The lamp of God in the temple was extinguished at daybreak. So there you go. So then there's instructions on making the luminaries. I've copied that or scanned it in, and I'll send that with you, and I'll have the materials. It's lunch bags that will decorate, and what the youth might want to do to make it a little more interesting rather than just like coloring or putting a design on it is use two bags, one inside the other, and the one of the bags could have like cutouts of shapes in it so that when the light comes on, there's like a shape that you can see as opposed to just being like blank. Because when these are in darkness, they're harder to see the things we've colored on them. So I will have some candles, some little fake candles that you can turn on and off with a switch, as well as some sand that'll go in the bottom of these bags. Each kid can take their luminary home, or they can leave them here and we can use them to decorate somewhere. Often on the labyrinth is a really pretty place to put them. And so that'll be for all the ages to do. The other idea they had, which I thought was pretty cool, I just don't know if I have the materials for it, is creating a diorama of Samuel's room. And of course you have the image in the book to go by where you have a shoebox with the lid off, and then you can like use fabric and Play-Doh and stuff like that. If I find enough shoeboxes, my fear is that I won't have enough for every kid. I don't buy that many shoes. I should start, basically. But if you have shoeboxes, please let me know, because I do collect them occasionally just so that we can do stuff like this when it's available. So if I get enough, I will put also materials for that, and then they can choose a luminary or a diorama of the room, whichever they want to do. So just let me know if you have any questions. I will be here, and thank you very much.